And the pilot thinks he can skirt around something, and he's actually going right into the thunderstorm.
Oof. Yeah, pretty bad.
I don't plan on cutting it that close.
No, stay VFR if you can.
Yeah. Hi, Jeanette.
Hi there.
Can
Hey,
someone
Jeanette.
check to see if the YouTube had started?
Okay,
It said we were recording, so I must, oh, I don't know about YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. I should have said, Arthur, can you check? Because I feel like we're good partners with that.
all right, we ready?
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Drake, Chair of the Nantucket Memorial Airport Commission. I call the June 8th, 2021 Airport Commission meeting to order. We are using Zoom webinar for this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting and can be found in the description of the Nantucket Government TV YouTube live feed for the meeting. People registering as an attendee must use their full names, otherwise they will not be allowed to participate in the discussion. Attendees will join in listening mode and they can click the raise hand button if they choose to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in the order in which they were raised. If you do not have an audio capable device, you can use a call-in number. We will not be using the YouTube chat function. All questions should be directed through the chair. It's a preliminary matter. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Commission members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Arthur Gasparo,
Here.
Tony Buscarin,
Here.
Andrea Planzer,
Here.
Jeanette Topham.
Here.
When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Airport Manager Tom Rafter,
Here.
Assistant Manager Noah Carberg,
Here.
Edie Perales, and Lily Sylvia.
Here. Here.
There are no other anticipated speakers on the agenda. This open meeting of the Nantucket Memorial Airport Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth resulting from the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The governor's order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. We do also allow public participation as outlined previously using Zoom webinar. As previously noted, the Nantucket Memorial Airport Commission is convening for this meeting by video conference via Zoom webinar and broadcasting on the Town of Nantucket YouTube channel. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Excuse my dog. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise posted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules to provide for the effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. I would state again that the meeting is being both audio and video recorded. Are there any comments or questions about or concerns about the agenda? Hearing none, seeing none, it is adopted. Are there any comments or corrections to the minutes of the April 29th special meeting or the May 11th meeting of the commission? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Buscarin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Was that you, Ms. Planzer? I'm sorry. Was it?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Okay, thank you. How do you vote, Mr. Buscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve or to ratify the warrants of May 12, 2021 and May 26, 2021?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Topham. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Buscarin. How do you vote, Mr. Buscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Pending leases and contracts, please, Mr. Rafter.
Yes, thank you. The first three are annual business fees. The first one is with Jet East Corporate Aviation for aircraft maintenance services. Flying Zebra is the second one for air charter. It's a Blade affiliate. And then GoJet Airlines is a seasonal airline doing business as United Express. Next is a lease with Nantucket Electric Company for $129,122. That's, and I forgot to get the answer, Katie, that $129,000 is for the entire 10-year. Is that correct?
No, it's for 1 year.
That's 1 year, okay. Then we have a change order with Levangia Electric on a security project for some items that the state MassDOT would not, they deemed ineligible, some tablets and things like that. Next is a pending one with Jacobs for additional work associated with Pfas on taxiway Echo. But again, that's still pending. Stantec is a change order of $97,400. That is to, we pulled out some of the work from the RFP to gather more data and more information that would allow us to issue an RFP to be more specific and provide less open-ended contract, if you will, when we do put it out to bid again in the fall. T2 Systems of Canada for $49,989 is procurement of hardware and software for the parking lot operation. And I'd like to ask the commission this evening to approve this at that amount, subject to final legal and town review. Unfortunately, we need to get this equipment in as soon as possible. Our target date is July 1 because the expiration of the Republic agreement. So we have it mostly in place, but there's still a couple of minor items that legal and the town were looking at. So if you beg my indulgence and approve that subject to those two caveats, I'd appreciate it. CHA Consulting is just an extension of time for our OPM services. On the fuel farm track building is for $3,248,000. That is the low bidder on the fuel farm rehabilitation project. And as you know, we received the technical amendment and we have the funding in place that are appropriated for that. The rest are still pending items. And one is for the support services for it's permitting. It's a permitting project under our AIP. we're still negotiating that scope. The other is a development of the RFP for maintenance contracts for the security systems that we just installed. And the last one is an amendment to MJPN 11. I want to give you just a heads up that will be on next month's meeting. It's for additional phase 2 source area work for PFAS, and didn't want you to get sticker shock. It's going to be a fairly big number, I believe, but we don't have it exactly yet. We're still refining that. And that's all the contracts and agreements.
Are there any questions? Ms. Planzer, Mr. Gussaron, Ms. Topham, Mr. Gasparo? All right, is there a motion to approve the license agreement with Jet East Corporate Aviation, the operating agreement with Flying Zebra, the operating agreement with GoJet Airlines, the lease agreement with Nantucket Electric Company, the contract amendment with Levangi Electric Company, the contract amendment with Stantec Consulting Services, Inc., the contract amendment with CHA Consulting, Inc., and the contract with Track Builders, Inc.
So moved.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you want to do the T2 one separately or,
Yes, I do.
okay, thank you.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gasparo. Are there any additional comments, or questions? How do you vote, Mr. Buscaron?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, is there a motion to approve the signing by of the T2 Systems Canada contract when the necessary approvals are received from the town and legal by either the chair or the vice chair with a sole signature?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Planzer. How do you vote, Mr. Buscaron?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Good, thank you. Do you want to report on the home rule petition, Mr. Rafter?
Yeah, there's nothing, no change there. We continue to have dialogue with our representatives to try to push it through the process, but no movement, no new movement there.
Okay. The PFAS investigation update.
I'll turn that over to Noah for the update on the activities and then his activity report going forward.
Okay, thank you, Tom. So for my activity report, we have a status update table in your packet. Some of the brief highlights: we are at 364 samples taken from 77 private wells. For many locations now, we have monthly, quarterly, and initial sampling of well water and POET influence samples for a full season. We've seen, we haven't seen any reason to suspect variation in samples by time of year or increases or reductions over time. It's been very consistent. I know this has been a concern raised by some in the public, but we do have data to go by to support that. For taxiway echo soil sampling, last month I reported that data was expected soon related to the determination of the extent of the soil contamination, the horizontal and vertical extent. I've been in touch with Weston. Some of the information has been received, but it's in a piecemeal fashion right now, and they're waiting on full receipt of all data to move that over to us. This is anticipated soon. In addition to that, there are a number of remaining soil and groundwater samples that have been taken, which can be expected as early as tomorrow. Specifically, some of the more interesting items are that Weston has sampled groundwater in Statue Park at the boundaries of the park and along the northwest corner of the airport, abutting Hinsdale Road, Sun Island Road, in that area, and those results are expected soon. The groundwater sampling is specifically, I'm specifically anticipating it for relevancy to potential offsite sources of PFAS contamination. And just anticipating a good amount of data coming in, I am planning on asking Weston and MJ to be available to present some of this data as it comes in. It should be a lot. For airport gas, we've received the stormwater plans. We've commented and we solicited comments from our engineer and provided this back to airport gas and their engineer, and we will then review final construction plans once those are received. For the water service project, we have resolved an insurance question that came up. It was related to the standard long form contract indemnification provisions and coverage limits for the contractors when working on private property. We're in a good position with this now. We believe it will allow us to go forward with scheduling the excavation work once all the paperwork is signed and complete, and begin the installation into the affected residences. Related to that item, however, we are going to ask for your approval. In the packet, or for your approval on an item, in the packet, we've attached an update to the water service estimate that reflects the requirement for some extra insurance that the contractor carries, which of course has increased their costs. So we had previously asked for and received commission approval to spend not to exceed $250,000 on the project. That allowed us the project amount, which at the time was reflected as, I believe, around $220,000. The increase to $250,000 would provide some amount of cushion for the project. So we're now asking that you increase that amount to $300,000 to carry the extra cost for the insurance and maintain a little bit of a project buffer. I don't know if I have one more item, Dan. I don't know if you would want to take that now or if you want me to finish.
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, the final item is an update on the water main extension project. Last month, we gave a schedule for a bid opening of June 18th. That needs to be pushed back to July 2nd to accommodate a complete stakeholder review. And we believe we can accommodate that date, and that can inform our construction plans and construction progress. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Carberg? Before we vote on the extra money for the Nobody Way water service, do you think we should schedule some kind of meeting prior to the next commission meeting for the information from that we'll be getting from Weston, the test results and so forth?
At this time, we've typically done this as part of the other commission meetings. It has added some length to those meetings. I think the staff preference, Tom, I don't want to speak for you, would be to have it as part of the regularly scheduled commission meeting, but ensure a presentation time that doesn't go too far ahead of us.
Mr. Rafter, what do you think?
No, I agree with that. I was going to suggest the same thing.
Okay.
I think
That's fine. I just sort of thought I heard a note of urgency in your voice when you were talking about it earlier. So
I think it's just that we're going to have a lot of data apparently coming at us. So.
okay. All right, that's fine. Is there a motion to increase the amount authorized for the Nobody Way water service? It's not water main, but it's water service. From $250,000 to $300,000 to cover the cost of the insurance and to provide a little cushion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mascaron. Second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Planzer. Is there are there any questions, more questions about it or further Comment?
For clarification, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is this, we don't have anything, I think, in the packet specifically related to this. Is this No Badere Way only, or is it also Evergreen properties? I'm just trying to
No,
decide whether I should recuse.
There is
No, I don't
something-
think you should, because I don't think you need to on this.
Thank you.
But it's all the ones that are covered by existing water mains that are getting service as a result.
And there was a handout, Dan, that added this.
There was
That's
something in
breakdown.
the packet.
Oh, that came today?
Yeah, sorry.
I've been out of the office.
Yeah.
Thanks.
If you'd rather not vote, Mr. Gasparo, that's fine. We'll just record you as not voting.
I think that might be better. I'll
Okay.
shut off right now. Thanks.
All right. How do you vote, Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Mr. Buscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you.
You hear me, Mr. Gasparo?
Yes, thank
there
you.
are. All right, thank you. General fund repayment proposal.
Yes, it's that
And service.
that time of year, at the end of the year, when the subsidy payment is due. This year, we're paying the full amount, $235,620.87. There were no in-kind services this past year. We're going to be looking at some other potential opportunities going forward. And so the total after that, that remains the balance will be $2,641,983.50. So I don't know if there's action required or not on that, or if it's an informational. I think it's automatically done by the town. It comes out of our account. They just transfer it. So
Next year, you're going to try and get an offset to that, right?
we're looking at some other opportunities, yeah.
Okay. Annual town meeting update, Mr. Rafter?
All of our warrant articles passed. We had the prior year appropriations article, a revolving account limit for the fuel revolver, our operating budget, our capital budget. Car rental was knocked down, as you know, and the home rule petition again was approved, as well as the long-term lease request for hangar development. So that's good news. Everything went through.
And the $8 million for the PFAS remediation.
Yes, which was in the capital, as well as the technical amendment. Brian Turbot took care of that, thankfully, for the fuel farm. So that was good.
Any questions about that? Minimum standards update, the air taxi definition. I think you all received that. It's just the one change to the minimum standards. Were there any questions about it? Mr. Gasparo, I didn't say, did you say no?
No, I was going to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the changes to the minimum standards outlined in the packet.
I'll second.
How do you vote, Mr. Buscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer,
Aye.
Ms. Topham,
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Nantucket Flying Association event landing fee waiver request.
Yes, this is something that is typically done. As you're aware, the Flying Association has an aviation camp. They do a tremendous job with it, and we work closely with them throughout various parts of the airport and the hangars, and they do a very nice job with it. They do have some airplanes that come in where they give the students some rides, and this year I think they have an individual coming in who is a acrobatic pilot. He's not going to do any real acrobatics, but he may request flyby with some smoke on or something. But typically this is something that the commission has approved in the past, and I'd like to request that we waive the landing fees associated with the Nantucket Flying Association camp.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Second. How do you vote, Mr. Buscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer,
Aye.
Ms. Topham,
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Non-union employees cost of living adjustment. What are you recommending, Mr. Rafter?
I apologize. There's an error there. I believe your agenda says 1%, 1.25, and 1.25. My recommendation is actually 1%, 1.5%, and 1.5 over 3 years, effective July 1, 2020.
So I think we do this every year, don't we?
We tried last year. There was nothing done because of COVID.
No, I know, but generally we've approved the increase every year.
Yes,
So we need
for
to
an
approve
individual year.
increase for the year that's ending June 30th of 2021 of 1%, and an increase for the year ending June 30th, 2022 of 1.5%. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Biscarin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Planzer. Any questions or comments? How do you vote, Mr. Biscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Thank you. The manager's report.
Okay, on the project side of the house, taxiway Echo is on a hiatus for now. The work between 1533 and runway 24 run up has been completed. They'll return in the fall to proceed with the next phase of work. There's 2 more phases left. We aren't sure exactly what the next phase will be done in what order. I believe some of that will be dictated by the Pfas results and what the plan is there. The security systems are up and operational. TSA has expressed a high level of satisfaction. And today they came out and did the seal coating for the ductwork that was the trench that was cut for the ductwork. The fuel farm rehabilitation, we received the bids, as you approved that earlier. Thank you. And we also had a technical amendment approved at town meeting, as I mentioned. Hangar development, we have a meeting with Mr. Turner, I believe, this week or next week to begin negotiations. ATM did approve the extension, so hopefully we can move that along pretty quickly. The Hagedorn Aviation lease you approved, and we're working with them on the approval process, and they may be interested in some additional space. They've expressed some interest that we're looking to see if we can accommodate them. On the operations, I've said that it's been quite busy here, and to quantify some of that, Noah's put together some numbers. For the first week of June 2021, the outbound secure passenger volume was up 67% over 2019. Not over COVID, but pre-COVID. That's an average of 440 daily departing passengers versus 263. So everything apparently is flowing pretty smoothly. TSA is doing a very good job. So there's a lot happening there. And in fact, the FBO sales for Memorial Day weekend were $402,525, which far exceeds anything back until 2014. The number of gallons pumped in May were, I believe, for jet 114,000 gallons. And previously, in the past 10 years, the high number was 80,000. So there's a lot of traffic out here, a lot of things happening, and folks are doing a great job to keep up with it. So I want to bring to the attention of the commission, though, the park at the corner of Airport Road and Old South Road. You may see the grass turning brown there. Out of an abundance of caution, we are not turning on the irrigation yet until we find out what the Pfas results are in that area. We just don't want to, we want to be extra cautious there. Our FAA inspection took place on the 26th through the 28th of May. It went very well. Staff performed admirably with minimal discrepancies, if any. There was an after inspection finding by FAA that we're attempting to work through with them. We had asked for a change to our sign and marking plan to add an additional air carrier position on the commercial ramp. And they have some serious concerns, I would say. I spoke with the head of the airports division in the region last Friday late. They had met all day on Friday about it. They are meeting again this week with air traffic, and they said they would get back to us. So there's an issue with the additional commercial spot, as well as the markings on what is currently runway 1230 or taxiway Charlie. And we've been in close communication with our local air traffic on this. In fact, that's what has helped us to determine some of these, but we have to wait from the region for a decision. But I did make it clear to them that if we don't have the physical capability of adding capacity, we may need to shut the airport down for safety reasons, and that is going to cause a number of other impacts. So we're going to monitor that closely, but I also asked for guidance from administrative perspective to ensure that we're not in violation of our grant assurances should we have to close for safety reasons. Any questions before I go on to statistics?
Could you explain closing the airport for safety reasons or overcapacity? What's the problem?
If we don't have a place to park the airplanes or hold them without, we had a situation Memorial Day weekend where planes were backed up on taxiway Echo. They were backed up on Bravo. There was an aircraft trying to get off the runway. There was an aircraft trying to get off the apron, and there were two trying to get into gates on the commercial side. If it's going to block safety areas or anything else, or we don't have, again, the other thing is we all of our boardings are done ground level. We do not have jetways here, so we have a lot of equipment moving around. If we're at capacity on all of our gates and there's 2 or 3 or 4 more commercial aircraft landing, as well as on the corporate side, that's a challenge. And in the past, as you know, on the corporate or GA side, when we got to capacity, we would park them on runway 1533. Well, in the runway safety action team meeting last year, one FAA official made the comment that we're not to do that. And the other FAA official said, well, they have to be able to accept the airplanes. And that's where I said I need guidance, because if we can't park them on 1533, which is our plan B, we don't have a place to park them. We can't just keep allowing people to come in. We have to shut it down for arrivals until we can get some departures out of here. I don't know if that answers your question.
So you're not talking about shutting the entire operation down, just we wouldn't accept, once we hit capacity, we will not accept another landing aircraft.
No more arrivals, correct. Shut down no arrivals.
Okay, I got that. Thanks.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Gasparo.
So to that point, because my concern is somewhat that, we have a big weekend likely coming up before the next commission meeting where you're going to see that kind of traffic heading into July 4th. And, one FAA official advising not to park the airplanes on 1533, is that a absolute directive? Like, as you're considering the alternatives, I understand it's not a preferred alternative, but probably neither is shutting down to arrivals.
And that was my question to Gail Luttrell of the FAA last week, because I explained to her that her boss was the one who made the comment that we should not be parking them there. And I said, I need to know, I need specific guidance on, what we can and can't do. Because I'm hearing mixed, versions from the FAA. So, I mean, we will do whatever we have to make it safe and worry about it later. If we have to, from administrative, whatever. But I have, just so you're aware too, I had a conversation with Mr. Mackey and George Pantelli from FAA Compliance, specifically to that matter, to make sure that, we're not going to be held in violation of something if we take action to make it safe.
Just a follow up. I understand it sounds like you're a bit between a rock and a hard place, and I'm wondering if the commission, if it would be helpful to have some communication to the FAA from at the commission level, or if your advice would be to let you continue to work through this. But my concern is sort of an impending weekend in a couple of weeks where I could see all of these factors coming together.
I would suggest we're supposed to hear back from the region this week. Gail said it's their top priority on getting us some solutions. If we don't think that they're viable, well, I'm not sure we have much to say. I mean, we can voice our displeasure with it, but they're the final arbiter, if you will, I believe. So I'd give them the opportunity to comment this week and see what solutions they come up with.
Mr. Rafter, what role does local ATC play in this?
Almost the same as we do. They advise and they give input as to how it impacts their operation, but the regional ATC and national are going to be the ones, looking at this. In fact, when we had one concept placed out there, and again, NOAA did a great job in coordinating communications with our users, with ATC, with the consultant. And one alternative that we had put out there, ATC brought to our attention, local ATC brought to our attention an issue that we didn't think about. And so we had to refine it and came up with a final alternative, if you will, that the majority we had consensus on. So they can at least bring to their attention what the impacts on their operation are. But I think what I tried to emphasize to the FAA folks was that if we have to close this airport for arrivals, the ripple effect is going to be significant. There are already airlines that are asking questions about, why they can't get the extra gate. The airlines will not be particularly happy, but I believe that there is a possibility of somebody that may be coming in on the GA side that may also not find it very appealing. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that this is what we're dealing with. We've got 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag and they're looking to add 5 more. So.
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Biscarin.
Is there any coordination or discussion with Martha's Vineyard or Hyannis for taking overflow aircraft? In other words, if the airport was shut down because IFR arrivals are no longer available because we're below minimums, people have to land other places. Have we talked at all with Hyannis or Martha's Vineyard or Chatham or anybody else that might
we haven't directly in the past. We've had actually people who would land here, drop off and go to Hyannis.
Okay.
That was mainly because of hotel rooms and other things. It really depends, Tony, on what the final disposition is of that aircraft. Are they just simply ferrying here? Are they bringing somebody here? Are they, can they be diverted? Can they take a slight delay? Are they that type of thing. The airlines alone, some of them return to their origin, some go to an alternate. And it's the same with corporate. Some of them may elect to go to an alternate and wait it out. We can certainly reach out to them, and I'm sure Hyannis would love to have some additional traffic. I'm not sure the Vineyard is capable of taking much more, but we can certainly reach out to them and make them aware of the situation.
But isn't that ultimately air traffic's decision of?
It's really the pilot and command
decision,
where they're going to go. Air traffic tries to get them there.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this issue?
No.
I would just say, I think we're all very much concerned about it and support your efforts to get it resolved.
Well, thank you. And I
is
will
that a fair statement? I see 4 heads nodding. All right. Please continue.
Statistics, I'll run through those quickly. Operations are up 103% over last April, still not quite back to the 2019 numbers, down 26.6 year to date. Southwest GA ops for April were up significantly, exceeding the past 7 years' numbers. The employments are up from 177 last year to 1,973 last April. Again, that was pandemic. Still not back to 2019 with that, but I think you're going to start seeing it recover and then some. Cape Air up from 171 to 1,850 passengers, and Trade Winds is up to 123 passengers from 6. The Boston Market Cape Air increased by 650 passengers. New Bedford traffic's up to 124 over 5 last year. Hyannis for April is up from 105 to 737. Vineyard traffic was up from 3 to 168. The Jet A gallons for April were up 275%. Year to date down 4.14. And as I mentioned before, May was up over 300%. It's up by 85,900, almost 86,000 gallons, the highest in 10 years. Avgas was up 66% for April, down 11.1 for May, or I'm sorry, for year to date. For May, it was up almost 300% or 8,121 gallons. Freight continues to do well. April was up 72.5% over last April, and year to date, it's up 36%. Cape Air, again, back into business, carried 54,337 pounds. Mail carried by Cape Air was up 3%. FedEx was up 48%. UPS was down 21%. And on the noise side, there was 1 noise complaint in April, which is up from 0 last year. So VFR flight at pilot discretion and follow-up was provided to the operator of record. One other comment under personnel. I mentioned at previous meetings that there were commission seats available, and there were 3 folks that applied. Andrea Planzer, the incumbent, reapplied. Phil Marks, who is one of our tenants, applied. Ray Karowitz from another T-Hanger tenant applied. And unfortunately, Mr. Drake has elected not to re-up, but I want to thank him very much for the past 10 years. Dan, I think what you've done for the airport is extremely admirable, and I appreciate everything you've done for the staff here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I will comment under commissioners' comments. Did you want to ask approval for Mr. Carberg to attend an out-of-state?
Yes. I am unable to attend a conference that I was supposed to be a moderator at in September. It's in Savannah, Georgia, and its topic is Pfas. So I thought he would be the ideal replacement if the commission would approve that. It's typically one that's in my contract that I'm approved to go to, but I will not be attending.
Any comments or questions about that? Is there a motion to approve Mr. Carberg attending, what's the name of the conference?
The National Airports Conference.
National Airports Conference in Savannah, one in September?
Yes, late September, I believe. Yes.
And you know, with payment of reasonable expenses by the airport.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Biscaron. Any other questions or comments? How do you vote, Mr. Biscaron?
Aye.
Ms. Planzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, where are we stand? The executive order under which these meetings are held remotely expires on June 15th. And there's no sign so far that it's going to be extended. Katie, where do we stand on, or Tom, where do we stand on time and on location?
Just so you're aware, we were asked to look at alternatives, and I explained to Erica that where we met years ago where it was recorded in the SRE has now been converted to office space. Our conference room is too small, and the training room in the ARF is in a secure area. So it's really no good alternatives. Katie reached out to Erica today, and they're still working and waiting to hear if there's any flexibility in terms of extending the virtual and what may come from that. So we still don't have a final determination yet as to where we're going to be next month.
Okay, thank you. Are there any commissioners' comments?
I'm puzzled why we have lost our time and spot, because, I mean, they knew that we always had it on Tuesday at the Public Safety Building.
We're a little puzzled too.
Thank you.
I think one of the reasons is that they're no longer using the second floor, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gasparo, which I believe the HDC used on the same time on Tuesdays. And they meet every Tuesday. We only meet once a month. I don't know. Those are the kinds of things that are going into the discussion, I'm sure.
It's very challenging for Erica. She's faced with trying to find a home for 40 commissions, committees, boards, and they took, main room away. So they're doing their best to try to make it work.
So more to come.
And I meant that not to discourage Erica's work, because she's done an amazing job.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other commissioners' comments? Mr. Gasparo?
I would just echo Mr. Rafter's comments. It's been great working with you, Dan, and learned a lot, and think that you have absolutely done a huge service to our community and the airport. It's much appreciated.
Thank you.
I also want to add my compliments to you and thank yous.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to turn it around and thank you all for your support. And I think it's a pretty good mark of how a chair is doing when, or maybe it's not, when you look at how many split votes there are. And we've had hardly more than a handful in my 9 years on the commission. And when we did, it was for a very good reason. But I think the fact that we've all pulled together has made my job a lot easier, and I appreciate that very much. And I appreciate all of your support and input. I also want to take my hat off to the staff. I'm not going to mention everybody because, first of all, I don't know everybody. It would take too long. But particularly to the group that's here today, Tom and Noah, for their leadership of the airport, for Katie and Lily for their support, certainly Jamie Sansbury on the financial side, and Deb Crooks and the staff of the FBO, Preston Harmon on the operations side, and Blaine Buckley. I mean, I think everybody has done a really wonderful job in furthering the interests of the airport. And I wish I could personally thank everybody, but I guess in this day and age, that kind of thing doesn't happen. But anyway, thank you. And I wish you all best of good fortune going forward.
I have a comment as well. I just wanted to thank Dan. I see the kind of work you put into this, Dan. Every time I show up at the airport, you're usually there ahead of me. And very often I leave before you do. And I know you provided and learned a tremendous amount about this business and taught me a lot about it too. So I think you've done a wonderful job, and respect your hard work and diligence.
Thank you,
Well,
sir.
thanks
I
again.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I don't believe there's any public in the room.
Correct, no public.
So we'll pass public comment, and I will entertain a motion to go into executive session, not to return to public session. First, to review the executive session minutes as elaborated on the agenda. Under clause 3 of General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to the litigation regarding Walsh, where the chair has determined that an open session may have detrimental effect on the litigating position of the Airport Commission. Under clause 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate with respect to the negotiations regarding Nobodier Farm Road, Sun Island Road property, where the chair has determined that an open session may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the Airport Commission. Under clause 3, to discuss strategy with respect to pursuing legal claims against the manufacturer of polyfluoroalkyl substances, otherwise known as PFAS, where the chair has determined that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the airport. And under clause 1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than the professional competence of an individual. Is there such a motion?
Make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Topham. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Buscarin. How do you vote, Mr. Buscarin?
Aye.
Ms. Flanzer?
Aye.
Ms. Topham?
Aye.
Mr. Gasparo?
Aye.
The chair votes aye.
This is one of our shortest meetings.
I beg your pardon?
This is one of our shortest meetings for
For a
you.
while it is, yes.
It's your
Well,
good luck.
I don't
or
think the
fine.
executive session is going to be very long either, but.
Okay,
we'll,
thank you.
Thank you.
Arthur, can you check on the YouTube and let me know when it's
Sure.
off?
Aye.
The chair votes aye.
It's still on.
Okay.